Hello, everyone. I'm the Reluctant Christian, and this was This Week in Church News. From the Huffington Post, Pope Francis urges European countries to do more to combat anti-Semitism. A number of European nations have reported a rise in anti-Semitic attacks. Over 60,000 people marched in Warsaw, Poland, some holding signs that said, "Pure blood, clear mind," while arsonists burned down a Jewish synagogue in Sweden. Ronald Lauder, the president of the World Jewish Congress, stated, quote, "In country after country, we are watching a growing wave of far-right, ultra-national, and in some cases neo-Nazi parties gaining strength." He later added, "New Europe is suddenly looking an awful lot like Europe of the 1930s. Pope Francis called on the need to speak out against this injustice. We are responsible when we are able to respond. This is not merely a question of analyzing the causes of violence and refuting their perverse logic, but of being actively prepared to respond to them. Indifference is a virus that is dangerously contagious in our time, a time when we are ever more connected with others, but are increasingly less attentive to others." So, that's fun. According to the Barna Group, Generation Z is the most non-Christian in American history. Gen Z people are born from 1999 to 2015 are far more likely to be agnostic and or atheists. 35% of teenagers call themselves atheists and agnostic or not affiliated. Compare that to 30% of my fellow millennials, 30% of Gen Xers, and 26% of baby boomers. The study also showed that Gen Z is twice as likely to be atheist, 13%, compared to my millennials at only 7%. As far as the Christian faith is concerned, 59% of Gen Z identify them as some form of the Christian faith. That's down from 65% of millennials and Gen Xers, and a whopping 75% of the boomers. The survey was conducted in 2016 of nearly 2,000 teenagers across the United States from the ages of 13 to 18. Barna's Senior Vice President of Research, Brooke Hempel, stated that Gen Z is different because they have grown up in a post-Christian, post-modern environment where many of them have not been exposed to Christianity or to church. So this is really a unique shift. 28% of Gen Z teenagers polled agreed with the statement, "Science and the Bible are complementary." That's down from Gen X's 35% and 45% from the boomers. Hempel stated, "For many, they are going to fall on the side of science." Hempel continued, "A quarter of Gen Z would say, I don't see the Bible and science getting along, so I'm just going to go with what science says because to me that's the truth." Barna President David Kinnaman said that kids are being asked to follow Christ in a world that is growing to not understand what that means, and that most believe, quote, "The Bible is simply a book that is religious dogma that has been used to oppress people." And he continued, "I think about what we might do to use discernment, and I am asking you how it is in your church and in your context, in your ministry, could help kids today have a more robust experience of what it means to be Christian." He also issued a challenge to churches. We need to be thinking theologically. We need to challenge them. They are ready to be challenged more than the church is willing to challenge them. I think David Kinnaman got to the real heart of the issue here. Most churches have failed to challenge people, and in particular the youth. Churches tend to appeal to the older generations because they tend to be the ones with the most money. However, if you play to the older crowd, you play to the shrinking crowd. As they start to die off, there's nobody there to take their place. That doesn't mean you don't have anything for the older people in your church. By no means am I saying that. What I'm saying is, the younger program have that youthful drive. And frankly, kids have more free time. Use it. Don't make your youth program as just something for the kids, but it needs to be a part of the church. If your kids aren't invested in your church, what's going to keep them there as they grow up? We have been seeing more and more that younger generations question the status quo. Youth leaders, It falls on you to be ready to answer tough questions and not just brush them off. And pastors, how are you involved in your church's youth programs? If we are to reverse these trends, the church must take on a more active role with our youths. And finally, Luis Palau, the world's renowned pastor and evangelist, announced that he has been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. According to the Cancer Treatment Center of America, stage 4 lung cancer has a 5-year survival rate of less than 10%. The Argentinian evangelist said in a YouTube video about his condition, "I hold strong to verses like Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right arm." And that is a big comfort. So our hearts and prayers definitely go out to Luis Palau and his family. Alright, everyone, this was This Week in Church News. Until next time, I'm the Reluctant Christian, and may God bless.